Hi, I'm Greg Schnell from Osprey Strategic, and this is your Daily 5. So the first thing I want to point out is there are some bullish charts in the world, and one of them is the Bombay Stock Exchange over in India. This chart is now attempting, there's 4 peaks on this chart, and if this chart is going to start to break to the upside, this is a pretty meaningful push. Now I will say that this price bar is 1.2%, and so it's moved like 2,000 points, 57.5 to 59.5, but again, that's only 1%. So even though the bar looks quite big, I would just say, it is on relative scale, it's not a 4 or 5% price move. But if this thing could start to break out to the upside, and we need to make sure it breaks out to the upside, so if it comes up, tests, makes a new high briefly, and then fails like this little blip did here, we want to make sure that it breaks out. The PPO momentum downtrend has been broken. PPO is back above zero. There are not many indexes around the world that have a momentum indicator in positive territory on a weekly chart. And if this is going to roll back over, really want to be worried. So that is a concern, but I would just say that this chart's all set up for a positive breakout here. And after going a little sideways here, if it started to speed up much like it did back in 2020, that's quite an awesome move, and that would be worth watching. So we're back above both the 10-week and 40-week moving average, or in this case, the 20-week and the 40-week moving average. If that's going to start to accelerate to the upside, that's bullish. And there are some other charts in Asia that are trying to improve, but none of them are as good as that one that I found. The Mexican market, on the other hand, sitting right next to the U.S., is making new lows, and there's nothing comfortable about that. So over here in the Zoom panel, you can see the June low. It was June 13th for the U.S. Well, this one made a lower low in July, and now a lower low in August. This is very weak. And the other thing that we see is on the PPO, it tried to approach the signal line and cross, and then failed. This is what we call a kiss and go, and it's kind of like going to your transit stop, dropping somebody off and just driving away. That's exactly what this thing is doing. It has no structural strength turning up, and it rolls down. And usually from these kiss and goes, it moves down quite quickly. And you can also have them on the other way where they kiss and go to the top side. So here's an example, and it was literally a big accelerant to the upside. We want to make sure that this chart literally stops dropping very quickly. This is horizontal support and resistance. Is this chart actually going to start breaking down to new major lows? And if so, is it the Mexican market that's starting to tell how weak the world is, or is it the Bombay Stock Exchange that's starting to tell that the world is ready to start to turn higher? It's a real dichotomy, and I think it's one of the most important things that we need to look at as part of this Your Daily 5. So Ethereum and crypto, Bitcoin have been leading the stock markets, or trailing very closely to the equity markets in terms of price action. And in November, the crypto charts made the top with the NASDAQ. They worked their way lower. They all made a rally in March. They got up to the 200-day moving average. They fell away. They bottomed around June the 13th, and then they've started to climb out of there. And recently, they've started to roll over in August. So here's the question. This chart has a big downtrend here, and the slope of this downtrend is the same as the slope of the current downtrend. We're actually getting a green price bar for the first time since mid-August on Ethereum. And the PPO is coming down around zero and trying to bounce after going back above with the highest wave all the way back since the beginning of the year. To me, when you start seeing wave performance higher than the prior waves, you need to be watching and expecting that this might be the start of your next bull market, and from here we start to rally. So what we see here is this coming down and turning up, and if this is going to start to fire up to the upside, that might be a clue to be a lot more bullish on the US indexes. And again, the narrative around the world is so bearish. So it's pretty important to start to see if this is going to take place, at least have it as a reference point. And the other thing that we've got is since the March high, we can see that Ethereum has been underperforming the S&P 500 For the rally period from mid-July to mid-August, it outperformed and now started to underperform. So the real question here is, does this roll over right away, or does Ethereum start to outperform S&P 500? And after a 4 or 5 month downtrend, this could be a meaningful change of course for the chart. So I would keep that in mind, and I sure wouldn't want to fight the trend on this one. It looks relatively solid. I don't know, again, I don't know anything about the merging and all of that kind of stuff from Ethereum and Bitcoin. But if this chart's going to start to go, and this one looks a little bit better than Bitcoin, it looks pretty nice. On the contrary, here's XOP, the oil and gas production ETF. Obviously, I like to invest in oil and gas for anybody who's followed my work. But this chart's got some problems. And what are the problems that I see? First of all, off the July low, we had a measured move up, then we had a pullback, and you literally take this chart from the low point to the high point and then hit copy, and you make another copy, and off the low you make you put the line on, and it'll give you a measured move roughly of the same time duration and the same length. Well, we had exactly that measured move, and now we started to break down on extremely high volume, almost double yesterday and more than double Friday. So a really big push down here on hard information. And the other thing I would just say is that on the prior rally, this looks like an exhaustion surge where it goes almost parabolic and then falls apart. And now we're on the right shoulder here testing that strategy. So if the globe is going into recession, this chart would be part of the economic indicators, because oil is an economic indicator. It tells us how well the globe is doing. When there's high demand for oil, things are improving. When demand is softening, things are not. So if oil's going to start breaking down here, that would help inflation. It might help the stock market a little bit, but it might also be a clue that the recession is really going to come underway, and it's coming underway right away. So this is a big warning sign for me, and XOP I think needs to be on your list as something to watch along with crude oil. We're starting to see diesel fuel continue higher, but gasoline continue lower. Nat gas is extremely volatile. So if we're at the top of the range here, we really want to make sure that we're aware of the potential for this to be forming a head and shoulders top. And the last chart I want to cover off, is the wood ETF, the Global Timber and Forestry. So this topped out in early May of 2021, so well over a year ago. What we saw was the price action on these stocks just go flat. Nothing happened. Of course, we've all heard about the housing market going up and going down, and we saw the lumber prices going ballistic in 2021, and since then they've dropped by about 75%. What we see is really, really low volume here compared back with the same sort of low volume we saw after the lows in 2020. And once that volume started to turn on, that was pretty important. Now, this volume is so low, literally on a weekly average, so that's less than 20,000 shares a day. This thing's only trading 95,000 shares a week. But you see a momentum downtrend. If we can start to break this to the upside, that's a little bit bullish. We've just crossed the signal line. And can this start to turn and burn higher? Or do we have a horizontal structure where we come down, we break out of the pattern, we come back up, we test it, we fail to get through, and then this thing really starts to accelerate? We're about to find out, and I think this chart could be one of the more meaningful ones to watch in terms of housing and the forestry stocks in general. So if you like some of the ideas here, and I tried to put forward some charts you probably don't see every day, head on over to ospreystrategic.org. We've got a whole bunch of different membership plans, and you can find them there. But our best plan is for 1 year. It's $17 a week is what it works out to. And we try to make sure that you're in the market when markets go up, and we kick you out of the market, or at least tell you to be cautious about the market when the market's going down before it falls, hopefully. And the process that we go through, I think, is a little bit different. So head on over there and see if there's anything there for you. And with that, thanks for watching Your Daily 5.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.